We just pop it back in that pocket. Ready to go? Fine. Okay. Yeah, good to go. All right, welcome everyone. Welcome, colleagues. Welcome students. Welcome faculty. Welcome friends. Welcome some family. It's really my pleasure to introduce the lecture today, and this is the Norm Breslow Distinguished Lecture, which is to celebrate the distinguished career and the incredible impact of Norm Breslow. One very concrete way to do that is to look at his PhD mentees and to see the impact that they've created across the globe. In fact, that list of PhD mentees is pretty much an all-star list if you look at it. I was fortunate to work as Norm's colleague for 20 years. I was housed with him in H-Wing for many, many years, as was Liang, Jim Hughes, and others. So I got to know him a little bit by working close to him in H-Wing, and I really learned a lot from him. Kung-Yee, on the other hand, I've known for 30 years, since my time as a graduate student at Hopkins. And I think both Norm and Kung-Yee embody some common core scientific values, and I wanted to call them out, basically. They're both innovators, where their scholarship has been practice changing, changes how the way we do statistics, and changes how statistics is applied to advance health. They're both people with incredible integrity, and that integrity also leads to rigor in the methodology that they've developed and the methodology that they've applied. Both as scientists produce incredibly relevant work. It's relevant for real world problems. I'll give one example, sort of for our grad students, my sort of 572 equivalent project involved reading one of Norm's papers actually and implementing it and figuring it all out. It's a very famous 1993 paper because I was doing this many years ago. And in that paper, he's got 6, it's a JASA paper, but he's got 6 applied examples in that paper. Not just one, which would be fine, not just 2, but there's 6. And true to his passions, 3 of those examples were cancer examples: breast cancer, childhood cancer, which was a central focus for him, lip cancer. It was sandwiched between some agriculture examples, one about seed germination and one about salamander mating. So there was some diversity in there. But I think that's emblematic of both the work Norm did and the work Kung-Yee does. How is it relevant, and how is it relevant for biomedical problems? Both with massive impact in biostatistics and health sciences. And then lastly, I was able to see in Norm, and I was able to see in the classroom with Kung-Yee as a teacher, and then beyond, both incredible core commitment to their role as an educator and a mentor. I think both think and thought of themselves first as a professor, meaning they shepherded education and mentored. And I know Norm had great pride in his PhD graduates. In fact, all of our graduates, very proud of our program. So Kung-Yee Liang, let me say a little bit about Kung-Yee. He received his PhD from the University of Washington, Department of, was it biomathematics and biostatistics then? It was a biostatistics. Biomathematics and biostatistics maybe at the time. It had a precursor name. Of course, true to form, he completed the program in 3 years. He did all the courses in the first year and the qualifiers, and then his dissertation. He's actually the 4th Breslow PhD graduate, and we've celebrated John Crowley in previous times. John Crowley, Bruce Lindsay, Dallas Sim, and then Kung-Yee. Kung-Yee's made seminal contributions to biostatistics and medicine. Work in 1986 with Scott Seeger really opened up a whole class of approaches for complex problems, longitudinal and clustered data. It also just provided a new way to look at how to attack a problem, like new tools in essence, rather than relying purely on likelihood ideas, for example. And then I want to say, like Norm, Kung-Yee's had an incredible personal impact on students and trainees, sort of, again, imprinting his core scientific values, and is really fondly admired. I remember actually quite fondly, Kung-Yee was like a ringleader to take us out to dinner as a graduate student. And I think you would order all the food and we would just eat it So it was actually a really pleasant, fond memory. And then today we're going to hear about what I think, based on his abstract, is essentially Kung-Yee version 4.0, where later in his career he assumed major leadership roles. He became a university president and then the director of Taiwan's NIH. I can think of only one other academic biostatistician who's become a university president. So you all can ponder that and think, who might that be, and see if you can come up with that. So Kung-Yee, I want to thank you for coming all the way from Taiwan to visit. It's been wonderful to see you. We want to give you a couple of things to take home, and we're going to give them to you now because I might forget if I don't give them to you now. So this plaque is for you, and we have to pose for our pictures. Let me give this to you. And you want us to look this way?
Actually, look this way.
All right, we'll take one picture and then we'll pose later. So everyone doesn't have to watch us pose. I'll let you have that. I'll leave it up here, and then there's a mug on you. So without further ado, welcome. I'll let you take the stage.
Thank you, Patrick, for such a kind introduction. Oh, I need to turn the.
This one?
Yeah. Can you hear me okay in the back? Right. Thank you again for a very kind introduction. And I was here for 3 years, as you mentioned, but a short period of time, I had such a wonderful, fond memory, and so much so that I sent my older son to come here to study, and under the supervision of Patrick. I'm still trying to figure out our academic relationship, and we'll talk about that. All right, here's the title of my talk, and I sent it to Jason, my older son, and he suggests adding this to the subtitle in sample size 1. But I think what he really has in mind is to remind the audience this is our outlier that you're looking at. So just don't pay any attention to what the speaker was going to say. Here's our outline. Exposed to biostatistics at USC, not the USC in the West Coast, is the one in the East Coast, and studying biostatistics at UW. And then pursuing biostat career at Hopkins for 28 years. And I'll talk about 3 critical periods leading to the change of my career pathway to administration, and including the Yang University and the National Health Research Institute, NHI in short, and with some closing mark at the end. I always enjoyed math when I first grew up, and since actually at elementary school, and I've been very lucky to have good teachers to maintain the interest in mathematics. Mathematics is very abstract, and you can lose the interest easily, but I've been very fortunate from elementary school to high school, so much so that I decided to major in mathematics at the National Tsinghua University in Taiwan. And then in 1997, I accepted scholarship from Department of Mathematics at University of South Carolina. Small program, but to me, it's a very strong master degree program, excellent in teaching. And during that period of time, and like here, we also have a departmental seminars. And then I noticed the 2 topics, the one that the hot topics, survival analysis, sequential clinical trials. And for either one of the 2, you always hear the name of Norm Breslow. And that's how I learned about biostatistics. And I have relatives still here in Seattle, so it gave me a strong motivation to pursue a PhD degree at UW. And I was fortunate to be accepted starting in 1979. So I'm going to just give some highlights. My stay as a graduate student at UW. I took the first quarter of the AP courses from Norm Weiss. And remember, the first thing he said in the class is that you can call me Professor Weiss, but just I prefer you say no. and it's very I think that make it kind of easy to follow what he said. And actually, I learned from there about the prevention and the intervention are keys to the public health. And here, just remind all of us that there's a key paper by Cornfield. He was a chairman of the Biostat Department, Hopkins. We're using the Bayes theorem to show that one can estimate the relative risk from a case control study. And so I learned that the biostatistic is an important tool in health science. So actually, my love in math could be actually injected to advancing human health by developing new tools. So that really is my first turning point of in my career. Now, one question I was asked from time to time, including during the student seminar yesterday, is that how should I choose the PhD topic, or does it really matter? And here's my own humble opinion. Now, what's the purpose of having thesis? It's a part of a graduate process towards becoming an independent researcher. So picking a hot topic, I think, may help to find a job. But to me, it's not necessary. Because just ask the faculty here, and how many faculty work right now is it directly related to their thesis work years ago. So let me share with you some of my own opinion. I mentioned about the survival analysis. And actually, at that time, it's probably still the case. UW is the place for doing the research in survival analysis. So actually, three of my classmates just jumped into the survival analysis thesis, the wagon, and studying with John Crowley, who just returned from Wisconsin. John was the first PhD student of Norm. I just decided not to do so. So instead, I worked on something very totally different. Proved the asymptotic equivalence between MLE and conditional MLE. Actually, motivated by the 2x2 table, you can conditional margin leading to the conditional MLE. And this is the speculation that those two are kind of equivalent. So what we make equivalence can actually do it. So that's what I did. Yet I didn't understand the importance of survival analysis. So in my third year, my last year, working very hard on my thesis, I decided to take the survival analysis instead of audit, because with doing the auditing, you can easily just skip the classes. So I took the course from John Crowley, and I actually read every single paper from day one, from 1940s. And so much so that actually I come up with some results. Which I was very excited. So the following day, went to the survival classes. So after the class, I went to John, showed it to him. He said, no words, just say, follow me. And then back to his office, standing outside, he give me some phone calls. I still don't know at this stage whom to talk to. But then after he said to me, well, your work had just been done, accepted by Metrica, by two professors from Harvard, by the name of Harrington and Fleming. And I don't know how you feel about that, but I think that, sure, disappointed, but it really gives you, to me, a motivation that maybe I will be able to do something career-wise in terms of research. So I want to thank Tom for publishing work ahead of me and give me a very strong motivation. Actually, that was very helpful. Then I went to Hopkins, and I got involved in the genetic study of schizophrenia, which I'll mention later on. And then running into the family study, so multivariate survival become issues. I was able to publish with my colleague, Karen Bending-Roach, at two different articles in Biometrica. So here's just my own opinion to the PhD students. Really, bottom line is I don't think that critical, but again, if this is an important area, even though you're doing something different, but still it may not want to pay, might want to pay attention to that. Well, I took many courses, but core courses, so elected one, but the two that come to my mind are the two offered by visitors that time. One is by Dale Pregebon. I don't know how many remember that he was just graduated from Toronto. I think his PhD is on the regression diagnosis for generalized linear model. So they come visit and they give a course on the generalized linear model. Okay, and So that was the first time we had exposure to the to this concept. So it has been very much helpful for me. And so later on, this is the work Patrick mentioned that Scott and I did in '86. Actually, the title of the paper is the longitudinal data analysis using generalized linear model. So I don't think I would be able to do so without having this kind of exposure. And then Jack Kalfeich was at UW at that time. I think it's 1990. Am I right? And it was, I think that he's working on the book with the Ross, and it's always, again, he was kind enough to offer the course on likelihood principle. You know, statistics is a discipline. Discipline means you have two components. One is principle and one is method. So by talking about the likelihood principle, conditioning principle, they really, to me, have a much better appreciation about statistics as a discipline. And actually, here's a book by Cox and Hinckley, 74, where in chapter 2, they're talking about a variety of principle. As a side effect, they actually, remember the first day reported to the department, we're assigned to the annex. And like here now, there are everybody, faculty, student on the same floor. A student is sent to the kick out to the annex, and they have a desks and table. I know bookshelf. I noticed everybody has a book by Cox Hinckley. So I immediately ran to the bookstore and bought the book, and it was being very, very helpful. And this, to me, is an example of a peer inference among students. Here's a picture of Norm, myself, and Jason. He was, at that time, he was a PhD student here, so come visit. And so we had a photo with Norm. I remember that the February 2016, we have a memorial service for Norm. I flew all the way from Taiwan to visit. It was very touching. We hear the talk from his colleagues, the friends, students, and the family. And I was very deeply touched, and I didn't know much about Norm at the time. And so we learned that, I remember there's a talk given by John Wellner, and it shows the several photos, because Norm was really loved skiing and mountain climbing. So all you see is it's shown at the back of his body, because he was always ahead of you. And that reminds me that when I met with him on a weekly basis, first time I come in, you see in the wall, he posts a piece of paper that said, you either lead, follow, or get out of the way. So when I first saw that, I was wondering if I should really get out of the way or not. But again, as a lover for mountain climbing and skiing, so I think he traveled all over the world. But he was not there for travel for skiing, but actually he enjoyed talking to the people, the local people, learned much about the culture. Again, reminds me when I was a student here, we sometimes would talk about situation in Taiwan, and remember that he was to put great deal of attention to what I said. He really wanted to know about things that may not be that new to him. He really is a lifelong learner, and the work Scott and I did in '86, we were very fortunate to be asked to give a short course in 1990 in Baltimore, in one part of a ENA meeting. So this is a Sunday morning, and Scott and I walked into the room, and when I turned around, I saw sitting in the first row was Norm. And that's really different than for our cultures. And teachers are not going to come to listen to students talk, but that's not Norm. He really is really a lifetime learner. He wants to learn things new, even though it's given by the students. Okay. We won't take credit unless warranty. And I again also learned during the time that Norm didn't have too many students, given the status. And the one reason I learned later is because he pretty much expect you to find out your topic, thesis topic. So people kind of scare away from that. And so I more or less working on my own, and I pick one article, showed it to him, and he just decided maybe I should work with Ron Pike. So And then I remember the day before I finishing the thesis defense, and the day before I fly out to Baltimore, I just come to the office and say goodbye and ask if are you do I have honor for you to be the co-author for the on the paper from the thesis. I don't know how what's your guess about his response. He said no. He said that I didn't help you that much, and you're on your own. And so really that's it's a very unusual, and really is a true scholar, and that had tremendous impact to me, and that's the attitude that I'm taking when I went to Hopkins. So I imagine probably Norm wrote a strong letter for me, and I would get the job offer at Hopkins. Start my 28 years at one place. So for Hopkins, here I just want to show you, this is the book by the provost Cole from Columbia, great American university. There he spent about 1/3 of the book about the research university, and I learned that actually the first research university in the United States at Hopkins, founded in 1876. And I said this, I think that I didn't realize that's okay. I never get a sense that here's research university, so we don't need to pay much attention to teaching because you're supposed to do research. And actually, I think Patrick can witness that we still work very hard to be educated and pay attention to education. And then to me, that's important. And that's one reason why I decided to go back to Taiwan, because that was not the case in Taiwan. So that was the first and only position for me in the United States, and provide an excellent environment for junior faculty to grow as a researcher and a collaborator. And I really want to thank Chuck Rody, who was the chair of the department, encouraged me to go visit Taiwan frequently, because he knew that my family is still in Taiwan. And so either summertime or sometime, I've been taking leave absent for several times, half a year or 1 year. So actually give me a chance to interact with the scientists in Taiwan. Then I witnessed the overemphasis of a world ranking at the expense of college education. And so that's something that I just found very strongly. I think actually one of the main reasons why I decided to return to Taiwan. So there's so much I can say about Hopkins with 28 years, but I'll just focus on 3 critical periods. Again, some bearing to my venture decision of returning to Taiwan. One's getting into the field of psychiatric and genetic epidemiology. And there was a study carried out by M. Pover from the medical school on genetic study of schizophrenia in the 1990s. And the purpose of the study is to address the genetic heterogeneity and searching for the genes responsible for the occurrence of schizophrenia. And that really opened them up. We have weekly meeting, one afternoon, an anchor data meeting. We read papers, clinical aspect, genetic aspect for schizophrenia. And then we discuss, then come up with the specific hypothesis, then discuss what data need to be collected to answer this question. That was a great experience to have, but it also gave me a chance, open my eyes on the impact of the mental health on not only individual, family, and society as a whole. One of my colleagues at the Hopkins, Anna Ross, was a sampling survey, and then his colleague did some survey, found out that the city of Baltimore, more than 67% of homeless were mentally ill, and then eventually they're losing the family support, they drip become homeless. So it's a serious issue for the society as a whole. So I was encouraged by Anne to devote to the methodology research in genetics to find the gene, hoping that the finding the gene will lead to a useful treatment to treat the individual suffer from this mental illness. Also, she encouraged me to apply and receive a training grant from the NIMH to train biostatisticians, PhD student engaging in mental health research. So that really is the second turning point for my career, and then broaden my spectrum in terms of the impact of public health, not just conventional cancer, hypertension, but mental illness. Scott was appointed chairman, replacing Chuck in 1996. Prior to that, he and I traveled around the world, giving lectures, short course in different places. And during the stays, he and I talk about the education, to think about how, in what way we can improve the graduate program, the quality graduate program at Hopkins. So one of the first things he did is to, when he became the chair, to create this graduate program director, and I was appointed the first director for the department. So I spent a good deal amount of time, just about every day, every night, to think about how to revamp the curriculum, including core courses and qualifying exams. Think about ways to strengthen student admission and recruiting process. Every year, we've got more than 200 applications. We actually read all the application material, including the statement things, trying to recruit the best student we could. And Patrick definitely was one of them. And so through that process, they really helped me to gain better appreciation and a more interest in higher education. Again, one motivations for me to go back to Taiwan. And also, I didn't realize, Scott definitely didn't realize, that appointment become critical for me to be qualified for the administrative position in Taiwan. At that time, you have to have at least 4 years of academic leadership position before you qualify as the president of the university. I've never been a chairman, not mention the deans, and so that's only a position I have. And Karen wrote a letter to suggest that actually was the case. So that's how I got qualified as a candidate for the president direction. So here's Ann Povich. She retired, but we're still in touch from time to time. And this is Jason Alderson. He's wearing Scott's sunglasses. And judging from how he looked, I think this is about 30-some years ago. There's an ASA meeting held in Los Angeles. So instead of going to a meeting, we went to the Disneyland, and you can tell. And this is the evidence suggesting that Scott and I did have some hairs before we lost all of them. And also, I was recruited in 2003 to serve as the vice president for National Health Research Institute, which I'll say a little bit more later on, for 3 years. And it's similar to NIH, except it's a much smaller size, but very much mission oriented. Again, I will say more about that aspect. And also need to deal with the Congress directly. It's very different than the academic life. For those who've seen the TV about the fist fight among the congressperson in Taiwan, and they're the people we need to deal with. So a lot of fun, I guess. So actually helped me to 3 years to gain insights on making impacts through research versus administrative work. And I find myself not objecting to the latter choice. And actually I was the acting president for 6 months in 2006. So that really is my third turning point in my career in the following sense. Because I returned to Hopkins after 3 years at NHI. And then at age 55, we start to think that what's next? What am I going to do at the next stage? And so here's how I was considered the decision. I make it kind of, people doing math, either yes or no, black and white. So I said, if I continue this research career, Hopkins will be the place. Been there for many years. And I know the people very well, and I think this should stay. But if I decide to switch to administrative career, I think that Taiwan will be the choice in my mind. But this is the place I was born and raised, and I was, as I mentioned earlier, concerned about the direction of higher education. I felt that the college education is essential and has been compromised in the name of research university. So in a way, it's not which one's more important. It's really it's kind of hoping you can make a different kind of impacts. With that, and by discussing with my wife and the kids, and with Jason, the younger brother, Kevin, and they're all very supportive for me to return to Taiwan. But Jason and Kevin being, oh, great, can get rid of this old man. But it's joking, but what they said is that they're giving more chance to come to Taiwan to visit us. So I'm very grateful to not the family, to the support from Hopkins. It's very unusual for me to spend 3 years on leave away from Hopkins. So I'm very grateful to Dean Al Summer and Scott for sure. Okay. So that, in a way, that's the beginning of the new journey. So when I considered come back to Taiwan, taking some administrative role, I was actually facing two challenges. I had a very limited experience in administration. As I mentioned, all I had is just being a graduate program director. And also limited experience in holistic education. Like here, the Bloomberg School of Public Health at Hopkins is a graduate school. I so didn't chance to interact with the undergraduate students. And now I'm going to face the university, mainly college students. Okay, so what did I do? For the first one, I look up to Chuck Rody, the former chairman at Hopkins. He's the one who recruited both Scott and myself, and Ron Brookmeyer as well, to Hopkins as a model. And for those who know Chuck, I hope Patrick agrees with me, he's totally unassuming. He, when you're doing well, he's even happier than you are. He's such a nice person to be with. And he likes the concept of a consensus building. When we think about pushing through agenda, having faculty meeting, then a few days beforehand, you knock everybody's door, even you're assistant professor, doesn't matter. Ask for your opinion. And so always the meeting was very smooth because pretty much with consensus has been built prior to the faculty meeting. Now, you probably heard this phrase: glass half empty and half full. He has such a positive thinking, and you never hear say anything negative about individual. And also, what you see is a positive energy coming out of him. And also that you hear this phrase, we agree that we disagree. So you learn that you also have this mutual respect and trust. He was very keen on mentoring of a junior faculty. I was quite benefit from having him as a mentor. When I got stuck in some research, I won't hesitate to go to him as some advice. And also, there's something I didn't learn as much as a French wine drinking. And he was an expert for French red wine in particular. Now, for the second challenge, lack of experience in the holistic education, I decided to go to my Olson Jason for advice. Just a very brief background. He was a Hopkins graduate with a bachelor degree and master's degree in math, finished in 2005. And at that time, he was interested. Also, he said, "I'm interested in financial investment," even though he never didn't much explore. He never took any courses in economy, finance. But he said, "This is the thing I want to learn." At that time, I was at Taiwan working at the NHI, so I was helped to find an intern position at the United Bank of Switzerland in Taiwan. So for 2 months, serving as an intern, then returned to States, and then before too long, he was offered an analyst position by Capital One. And actually, I remember that the salary usually is 55,000 because they have a master's degree, so get 60,000, which is pretty good. So actually, he and I had a very in-depth discussion as to why people are making offer to him, someone who really didn't have much exposure to finance, among others. So we thought, well, maybe Hopkins' reputation with quantitative skills, UBS intern experience, and so on and so forth. But we don't feel that actually the major reason. And then he explained to me, shared with me the interview experience he had at Capital One. I think that they really pay a lot of attention to his communication skill, with willingness to listen and to learn. Because to him, not a great deal of new thing for him to learn. So he seemed to have that kind of capacity. Also, he was served in the junior years at the head of a Taiwanese American Student Association, and so he applied for grants and to join the spring fair and showcase the night market in Taiwan. So people notice that he's ability to lead and to be team player as well. So that kind of conversation gave me some glimpse about the holistic education, which I feel much better for going back to Taiwan to serve on the university. So here's the photo with Chuck. So unfortunately, he passed away January last year. This shows that the glass of wine that I'm not sure is one he made himself. So to me, he's a mentor as opposed to mentee here. So I'm not sure if Jason agreed that he's a mentee to me, but he disagreed. Look at the quality of the gown that we have on the UW. Mine is much better than his. So next, I want to share with you some of the experience I had in Taiwan for two different positions. First, National Yang University, it founded in 1975 as a medical school. In Taiwan, the medical school started in undergraduate, unlike here, it's a postgraduate. And so then, and became first medical university in Taiwan in 1994. So I was the sixth president of National Yang University. And with tuition covered by the government, students when graduate expect to spend 6 years in rural area for medical care, because there's tremendous rural and urban discrepancy in terms of quality of healthcare. And they pretty much ran second for entrance exams, slightly behind National Taiwan University. So the student we admit they're very, I think they're very smart. Also, Yangming was regarded as a research university, strong in oncology, brain, and the aging area. So just let me share with you some of the initiative I took since joining Yangming. First, I implement the mentoring system, because one thing I noticed in Taiwan, the system was that actually the senior faculty are competing with the junior one to get the grants, to get a award. That to me just not right. So I remember quite clearly what Chuck did to the junior faculty. So I set up this mentoring system, encourage junior faculty to seek the help from the senior faculty. I put a very small incentive for senior faculty. By doing so, we count the number of hours you're supposed to teach. So we can have deduct one hour from by serving as a mentor. So I invite them to come at the end of the semester, listen to the experience from junior faculty. And it's quite clear the results were very, very encouraging. The wise they provided from being a better instructor, from the response to the comments from the journal and the grants as well. The other thing I did is provide rainy day funds for the faculty. And here in NIH, we have every year has 3 cycles per year, right? So if you didn't fare too well for this particular cycle, you can wait for 4 months. But in Taiwan, there's only 1 cycle per year. So if you're unlucky, didn't get funded, you have to wait another year. So we set aside some funding for those faculty members. But what we said that we asked them to present their work. And I invited senior faculty, the really scholars, to critique, to provide advice. This is part of a growing process for the junior faculty. I asked the research development department as the staff to collect some data, and I noticed that normally the approval rate is about 40–50%, but for those who receive this funding, actually approval rate is 100%. So that was very helpful. That process, where the mentoring process was helpful for them. For those who familiar with the medical school education, problem-based learning is one of the major tools now. Starting at the McMaster and the Harvard took over, and now that in Taiwan, Yangming was the first one in employing this kind of a curriculum. So it's an organ-based learning. It's not disease-based, and they learned through literature search and presentations. Okay, usually about 8 to 10 cases per year per semester. they emphasize some mechanism, diagnosis, and treatment. And that's what I found, because I was curious about the curriculum. And I noticed one thing is missing is what prevention. So I asked the director of the Public Health Institute and the chair of the medicine to add prevention component as a part of the material. So at the internal one, then they went to just to revise the material in 1 year. So I was very excited that I found that my background, my exposure to public health actually was useful for the university. And I spent first year working with the person in charge of the dean of life science in charge of the foundation courses, along with the dean of academic affairs. We'll look into this foundation courses. Took a while. We determined for medical school. We'll target on again. This is the undergraduate student: calculus, physics, chemistry, biology, informatics for the freshmen. And we set few quote-unquote principles to follow. Small classes, hoping to encourage some interaction between instructor and the students. And advanced courses. This student, there's some quite smart. They actually some of them learned calculus in the high school. And to me, the student at that age need to be challenged, need the opportunity to be challenged. So we set up aside like the advanced courses such as calculus 3, which is a combination of linear algebra and calculus with emphasis on proof. And also for the instructor, we'll make sure that there are senior faculty with relevant PhD degree and actually with experience in teaching. And we took took a good deal of effort to find quality math instructors. I think that's worth it. And we find a couple teachers, one for calculus, one for advanced calculus. During the first year, and then the medical student, they have this teaching evaluation. Among hundreds of courses, they rank number 1 and 3. So I told the faculty, don't say that they're not interested in mathematics. They do, is where they can find good teachers to inspire them. In fact, I was challenged by medical students and faculty members. We're going to be a doctor, right? We're going to see patients. Why do I need to take a calculus? So I said, well, because your president was majoring in mathematics, so that's why. I didn't say that, but I actually to discuss with them, I said that, well, because calculus in particular provide very powerful tool to learn to be analytical and logical thinking. And being a foundation courses, meaning you're better prepared to acquire new knowledge. I also remind them that don't forget that medical engineering is a very important component for medicine when they become a doctor. I told them that at Hopkins, we have one of the best undergraduate biomedical engineering programs. I talked to one of the faculty members. He said that for the 4-year program, they have the students have to take in addition biology and one others take 6 courses in mathematics. So I more or less silent the noise from the student and the faculty member. Okay. And the other thing I did is to have create this activities called meeting with the president to hear the students' voice and to solve problem together. So they provide the president's residence, which is the middle of the campus. And so for domestic students, during the school year, the last Friday of each month, we invite students, they can just simply to sign up and come to our house. We have the dinner together, then we just discuss among each other about the issues they're concerned with. So actually during the 7 years period of time, such activity was held more than 50 times. And they really formed a bond with the student. Some of the students commented that when they grew up, they see that the president of elementary school or high school from distance, but never has a chance to see students at such a short distance, a chance to talk with each other. And for international students, once a semester, and then we invited domestic students for mingling as well. And they were, I think this Indonesians, and they're really appreciative of the opportunity for direct communication with the university. So really had a great time by interacting with this student directly. So that's the kind of something to highlight something I did at the Yang. Then at the National Health Research Institute in my final years, then the president of the NHI decided to step down after 2 years. It's a 5-year term. So I was recruited to be the president of NHI. And so that's why I have to I spent the next 5 years there. Well, NHI was established in 1996 as a think tank for the government, Ministry of Health and Welfare in particular. So I was appointed as the 6th president. So similar to NIH, of course, smaller in size and budget, and it's an NHI is mission oriented. Now, what do you mean by that? We're doing research, but you're hoping making societal, scientific, industrial impact. So we carry out the evidence-based research for policy recommendation to the government. We have the pilot plant for vaccine, and we have Institute of Biotechnology. So we are closer compared to university, closer to industry. So really serve as the I'm sorry, I jumped there. The bridge between academia and the industry. And also for scientific impact, we carry out translational research with the clinical and public health implication. So there's 3 different aspects that will carry out being mission oriented. The other aspect is that when there's a national health crisis, we're supposed to start our job to help government to respond, okay? Including the SARS in 2003, avian flu 2005, and COVID-19 in 2020, 3 years. So let me just give it, say a little bit about this. So the 3 different aspects of impacts. So one example, I assume we are familiar with the eraser, was one of the drug developed to treat the lung cancer, the adenocarcinoma in particular. So one study in the States suggests that the patient's positive response were found to be associated with the EGFR mutation. It's a very strong relation between the 2. But that mutation only accounts for about 10% in the United States. So this suggests very effective if you have a mutation, but the majority of them still, the drug was not very helpful. So in NHI, we carried out a similar study, and we found that the actual response rate was much higher, almost 50% in Taiwan. Okay, so that's very important information. With that, actually, the National Health Insurance Bureau and made a decision to move ERISA from the 3rd line to 1st line coverage. What's the 3rd line? Because the 1st line didn't work, they jumped to the 2nd and 3rd. But now with this funding, they switched the 1st line. They really benefit a lot more patients than before. Okay. Meanwhile, our colleagues at the Institute of Biotechnology Development, and they found out that the concern about the drug resistance by taking the drug. So they developed the 4th generation of ERISA, okay, and become very, I think that they become very successful. So this is one example where the same issue will lead to a scientific, scientific, societal, and the industrial impact. Now, I want to say a little bit about the COVID-19. That really turned the world upside down, I guess, affecting the whole world, not just like SARS, very limited the impact. Taiwan, unfortunately, was one of them. And so again, as I mentioned earlier, that when facing national health crisis, we need to set aside our current work and to help the government battle. And but we're a research institute, so we decided, and I recruited a vice president who happened to be the MD and also a PhD from Stanford in immunology. So it's a perfect position to help to lead the several different research group on developing a new rapid testing skip, DNA vaccine and drugs. Okay, so that's one thing. We done. The other thing is that one lesson we learned from SARS that we activate the Central Epidemic Control Center, CECC in Taiwan immediately, led by the Minister of Health and Welfare. Okay, so I was appointed as so they have the 10 divisions. One of them is a research and development division, as I was asked to serve as the head of the research R&D division. So we assembled a team of experts, both in academic and also in the governmental agents as well. And we meet weekly on Monday afternoon. So we asked the participants to review the literature, both domestic and international issue, what current development, and for example, the vaccine rapid testing drug as well. So then we discuss what's the current status. The following day, so I present the division and to make a recommendation to the whole center. Okay. So that was very, to me, was very gratifying that we were able to NHI to really serve the think tank for the government. In addition, we represent the government. I was asked to lead a group to negotiate with AZ for vaccine procurement, and we're able to secure the 10 million dosage starting at the beginning of the 2021. But that was the time that people cry and citizens in Taiwan cry for the where is the vaccine? And that's the time that the United States, England, France, Japan, they start having the vaccine available for them, but nothing in Taiwan. So we are able to actually for them to say answer the question, where is it? The question, given what we have, who will have the higher profit? So that was very, I think it's very helpful to calm the anxiety of society down. So this is the something that we did during the health crisis. I mentioned that we have the mandate to have a vaccine pilot plants, which was Bill 208. That we're supposed to produce a BGC and antivenom. And also we are one of two animal-based laboratory phase 3 in Taiwan. Only two. One of them is in Taiwan. So this is the building that we have, and this is for the this is the ABSL3. And during the pandemic, it's very clear there's a very shorthand. Everyone comes to us for help. For example, you want to either do the vaccine or others. They need the preclinical data, okay, and they need to run through this laboratory. So I just realized that that's not going to help in the long run. For the next phase, then we need to be better prepared. So we propose to build a new plant, and which is here, twice as big, with two new laboratory, and it's about $250 million with the private donation and the government budgets. This is, to me, is a very good example of what people call PPP, is the private public partnership. Okay. And also with that, we established mercenary platform technology. So in case next time we have a new infectious disease, hopefully we in a much better position to develop a new vaccine. Okay. And also we have, in addition, we have the National Infectious Disease Bank being built as well. Okay, just maybe I'll just wrap it up with 3 more slides. And this is one of the questions that maybe you might have in mind. Why will biostatistician be a good fit for administrative role? Here, I just assume the answer is yes, right? So the question is why. Actually, I was asked by former dean of school public health at Hopkins, D.A. Henderson. He was one credit for eradicate the smallpox when he worked at the WHO. So it was very curious why people in Taiwan choose you to be the president of university. And I was kind of a bit offended because of course we are biostatistician, right? But that I don't think that fared too well. But this is what I respond to him. I think we are trained. This is against my own opinion. Maybe you have different opinion or a better response than I do. We're trained to be thinking horizontally. We're not like when I'm doing the cancer epi, we look at in some way vertically. I think we're looking horizontally. And for example, so we are assisting as a general methodology. That method can be applied to different kind of cancer. So like if you eat the issue of measurement error, it's not going to be specific to this lung cancer. Will be everywhere. So I think we look at things in some horizontally and give us a chance to think things more broader in scope. And then I think in by and large, we're good at communication. That's what's required to be a collaborator with working with scientists, and also that hoping that we have this notion of the attitude of consensus building. Also, I think that for us, through the math training and through the core courses, I think we're trying to be analytical and logical, hoping that will help us make a sound decision. You're trying to prove theorem from A to B, and then maybe there are 4 different situations you need to consider. Otherwise, the proof is incomplete. So that's why in real life, you make a decision, you want to make sure you think through all possible situation. Then hopefully you have a better chance of making a sound decision. But on the other hand, I noticed some of the students major in mathematics, sometimes we tend to be very rigid, black and white, which is really contrary to the statistics, right? If there's no uncertainty, there's no statistics. So I think that in some way, mathematics is a tool for us. So to make sure that we don't look at things black and white. So here I have some of the advice to young folks. So presumably Patrick, you're not included. Joking. And I think that to me, during my years at Hopkins, I never thought about the possibility to become an administrator. Okay, I really enjoy doing research and supervising students, teaching. All I enjoy very much. But that doesn't mean that I don't pay attention to what constitutes a good administrator. Okay, so it's not necessarily by design, but always be observant. So I'm watching very closely to the chair, to the dean, and actually even for the owners of professional sport in Baltimore, okay, or the head coach, okay, how they manage. Okay, so that's I pay a great deal of attention to them, and to me was helpful. So I think that's what the pastor said: chance favors only the prepared mind. So when the opportunity presents yourself, even though you may not think about that, when there's an opportunity, make sure you're ready. And selfless to earn the trust from colleagues, and being unselfish, hoping you help you to make a sound and unbiased decisions. It's something I remind my colleagues. People always have a kingdom sense that you thought. People watching you closely. Are you making the unbiased decision? You're not making a decision based on your own interest. It's the interest of the institute. And similar to that, as a justification to me is equally important. And you're the boss, so you can't think about I'm the boss, so I'm always right. You need to justify your decision and your implement policy to your colleagues. Why am I doing this? And that's how you earn your trust. In closing, I think it's been a long journey for me from being a biostatistician in the United States and to leading a university and a health research institute in Taiwan. And so I've said from time to time, it has been worth it. To me, it's definitely yes, because it's kind of fulfilling in the sense of able to make some contribution, no matter how small it is, to the country I was born and raised. And I also hope to enjoy a colorful life. I mean, life, I can imagine being Hopkins. It's great, but then you're going to be the one professors, you have regular life. But then here I actually invited a lot of different people in different fields. come to Yang, for example, to give a lecture in humanity, and to inspire people to be care to pay attention to your surroundings, society, even though you're part of a society. So I had a chance to meet a lot of people. I know their names, and now by inviting them to become friends. So that was it's a very interesting and very colorful life. And past connections, this is just a reminder, remain extremely helpful. You don't want to burn the bridge, because by leaving this place, you never know, you might come back, you need help. So for me, when I was Yang Ming was asked to come to Hopkins to hopefully to provide the clerkship for medical students, and I was not involved in the medical education Hopkins at all, even though I work closely with the colleagues in the school of medicine. So with help from my colleague, the dean of school public health, Mike Clark, he was the associate dean for school medicine. So he helped me to make a connection, and I was able to secure 2 slots for a student to come to Hopkins 2 months every year. Eventually, the 4 slots. And I asked them to, when they return to Taiwan, share with the experience with their colleagues, because not everyone had the opportunity. It's always eye-opening to them. And they start complaining how hard the work is. The people at Hopkins, they work much harder than you. You read 1 paper per week, they read several papers and with great detail. So I think that that's just one example that was, to me, was beneficial by being in Hopkins. Also, I went to talk to the associate dean for the school of medicine at UW, and told them I was a UW graduate, and also they kind of provide 2 slots for us. So that really was very helpful for and to me, that's what we do as administrator, provide opportunities for the student. The rest will leave to the student to take upon the opportunity to strive. So finally, just regard to this and outlier, I guess I'm here to hopefully that we'll share some experience, no matter how small it is, for all of you. Thank you very much for listening.
We've got a little time for questions, and then we have a reception upstairs. So any questions or comments? Ross. Oh.
Congratulations on both careers.
Oh, thank you.
First, me, the advantage of biostatistical training, or administrative role, is that we tend to get to dabble in a lot of different disciplinary areas without being major threat, especially early in your career. Agree with or have experience.
Well, definitely. Again, this maybe is what I said about we look at things in the horizontal. And as I mentioned about second turning points, getting involved in psychiatry, that really eye-opening. I have very little appreciation and little understanding how tough that the issue was for the societal. And so that was very helpful for us to learn. I'm not expert in schizophrenia, but I can talk to psychiatrists, say much about the issue, clinical and genetic issue. So I think that that's one way to convince people that we understand what you're thinking. So I assume that's what you're saying. Hey, Tom.
You just full of wisdom. Your insights are amazing. I'd like to have 20 minutes to talk about that. Just to take 2 minutes. Remember very much looking from the outside here at the University of Washington, Hutchinson Center in Seattle, 1981, coming here. Kung-Yee was here as a student, and Steve Self and John Crowley, and mega leaders in survival analysis. We have Ross Prentice was here at the time. Norm Breslow and Gail, great to see you, Gail. Just an amazing presence here. Another thing that you had pointed out that rings true to me is why are biostatisticians a good fit for, I would say, for leadership? You had mentioned a number of qualities, broad in scope, communication skills, which is really so critical in collaboration and consensus, analytical and logical. I would add objective, scientifically objective, and something else that I would add that I learned when I was a young student from one of my mentors, saying because of that objectivity, challenging us as biostatisticians in research to strive to be the conscience of the research team. To really take that objectivity and collaborate, we can do so much more synergistically with others, but in a way that is objective with a conscience for what's best. The thing I want to query you about was that you were saying that as you then took on the challenges for enhancing both education and research, and you had mentioned several things that make a lot of sense to me, that you stressed that senior faculty should mentor junior faculty and adding prevention. And you also said finding quality math instructors. That really rings true to me. In my career as well, having quality teachers is incredibly influential to being able to more effectively learn. Do you have some insights about how you did that? How did you go about, in essence, trying to enhance the quality of the instructors that you have tonight?
In our case, we searched, we asked around, and we identified the instructor from other university. So I have the dean of life science drove to that place to invite him to be the instructor for us. So it's always a good opportunity to teach course at the Yang for the medical student. And actually, my first semester, I told him that I want to sit in your class, not to see how well you're doing, but I said just to actually learn why, because I heard a great deal that he was a good instructor. I found it very amazing. I mean, he was teaching calculus. I can only imagine using blackboard, right? Chalk. He was using laptop, but it was the way he presents is so clear, and then I just found it very difficult. And maybe that's why it was very effective. But the other reason I sit in class is to remind students I care. Yeah, and I think this just showed that I, as a president, I do care about this. And so maybe I can share with you the teaching of quality. Again, for Jason, I mentioned a few times, I'm going to charge him some consultant fee, I guess. He loved math as well. So I always examined from elementary school, we did homework and look at the result. He drove me crazy that he just give the answer, no intermediate process. So if the results were wrong, then we're in trouble. So we didn't start from the beginning. But he was so stubborn. He said, it's all here, all process here. And during high school, here, the 4 years of high school, right? In the 9th and 10th grade, he had a teacher. And during that period of time, he come back and say he complaining about the instructor that he actually started losing interest. Actually, he got grade. The grade he got used to be a C. And actually, what I was more concerned about the loss of interest. So one day we got a notice from the instructor said that your son was cheating. So this is a serious matter. So we went to see the instructor. I think that again, because she knows what she did in the class, I think really was pre-calculus, what's behind her. So I learned that what she did in the class is either ask the student to do the homework or read to the students the book, because in some ways it's beyond her. And so that's where she found out Jason was cheating because she just give the answer to that. So because we explained to her, and actually she threatened that Jason should be dropped down to the lower level. And we decided not to. We actually then talked to the leader of the math team. And she's saying that, well, if you insist upon, here's a piece of paper to sign, you're taking responsibility for what happened to him. We decided then on the 11th grade, he assigned to a different teacher. And all of a sudden, thing changes. Okay, and his interest comes back. So much so, eventually, he was majoring in mathematics at Hopkins. So I was curious to say, well, what happened to you? So here's happened to same person, right? The negative impact of the instructor and positive impact of the instructor to the same person. So I said, what happened? Well, why is that you? So this is what he said. This is the high school kid. Okay, they don't think much positive. He said he knows what he's talking about. That's to me is an ultimate compliment. So that's why that's one reason why I thought it's important to find a good instructor. Senior one, because hopefully they're more experienced. They know that they probably don't want to throw too much stuff to you, to maintain your interest. And so I've spent a lot of effort to do so. Probably because the experience I witnessed on Jason. So I really like to share with all of you that I think for those fundamental courses, important to have hopefully a senior instructor with experience. Also give junior faculty opportunity to, because this is very time consuming, junior faculty to develop their own career. Long answer to, but it can very much echo what you said.
And then Ross.
Thank you for an inspiring talk. I do have a curious question, like when you go to take the administrative decisions and you, I guess, come up with, the new initiatives, and I guess all of this needs extra resources, right? So do you need to do a lot of like normally getting more resources or move money around? Or I guess you share some wisdom of like how to manage that.
Yeah, we were trying to contact you and see if we can donate to us, but you didn't answer. No, this is probably some conversation. I'm not sure with the Ross last night. It's a new in Taiwan. Then in the States here, we know that the president, their jobs what to get fundraising. There's a provost dealing with the internal right. But in Taiwan, the culture was not there. So I made a decision that I need to work on to get more funding, and so that's one of them. So a lot of people who really care about education, but they are kind of silent majority. You have to reach out to them, convince them to them. They don't care about the ranking per se. They care about how much you care about students. So when I told them like when we have this meeting with the president, they're touched. So they provide funding for us to, for example, to have a higher salary, instructor fee for the faculty who really care about the students. So I think that that's something I did, but I spent a lot of time really have to communicate in convincing faculty and even students. And don't forget about the mission. You're here, part of the mission for university. The major mission is to educate and train students of a high quality is our responsibility. And so I spent a lot of time really communicating. It took a while. Again, this is entire Yangming, and I learned indirectly that we're a research university, so teaching really is a secondary. That to me just was not right. So I have to communicate with them as well. Funding another.
Well, Ross, first and last question to you, Ross.
I think a lot of us share the feelings about the importance of prevention research. Just wonder, how did you go about introducing prevention? I guess it was curriculum itself, or who did you expertise from?
Well, that's why I went to the director of the Institute of Public Health, who happened to be a doctor by training, but then he went to Harvard, PhD in public health, in health science. So I just talked to them, and actually he and the chairman of the medicine, they held the retreat, inviting students to come and to discuss how we can manage to inject this as a public prevention component into the material. So that was in some ways, probably it's true here that the clinician they don't have strong mind in terms of public health, in terms of prevention. They say yes, but you know that what they really have in mind is the clinical aspect. It takes some convincing. Didn't help if you're the president of the university. Tell them firmly that that's important aspect. And I share with them some experience that I just Kevin, the youngest son, when they're 5 and 2 will move to different places and find a doctor. So Michael May, that was the name. So we took the case to him. The first thing he asked Jason is that do you ride bike? Yes. You know what the next question is? Do you wear helmet? I think what he says to me is a lot more influential than parents. And actually, a year or two later, Kevin come back playing outside with his skateboard and shows the helmet. Apparently, he's tripped, hit the edge of the skate, and there's that the band. So I think if without wearing the helmet or having the head injury himself, the family, and the whole society, because there's a health care cost as well. The other examples happened to Kevin as well. When he was 3 and he was watching TV and then he was doing this kind of thing. So we told him to stop it. And he said, I couldn't help it. So we knew something is wrong. So went to Dr. May. And then he said, well, he probably having the Tourette syndrome. So he refers us to Dr. Harvey Singer, who's very well-known physician in that particular area. So, and then he, after a few questions, he's quite sure that's what Kevin had. So next question he asked is that, do the classmate in school bother you, to tease you because they're doing a lot of weird kind of gestures? And so if the answer is no, then I will not prescribe the drug for you. If he does, then I might do so. So in some way, he's doing some kind of prevention. Okay, from not for the disease per se, but from having kind of a rough time in school. So every year we always wrote to the teacher, tell them to begin monitoring the situation of him. So I always share this stories with medical students. I give one lecture at the public health in general. I always share this with them, that it's important for you to be. And there's a dichotomy, in some ways, dichotomy. Medicine is responsible for diagnosis and treatment. It's public health responsible for the prevention. There's a book by Dr. White from Pittsburgh, arguing that this kind of the dichotomy is not necessary. Actually, the healthcare individual, doctor and the nurse, they should be upfront in terms of from prevention intervention. So that's another challenge for me. There's a lot of clinicians in the school and the hospital. So you need to convince them the importance of the prevention, which I believe strongly.
So we'll just close, and Kung-Yee will say thank you for the inspiration. Thank Jason for the modified title, N of 1. It was really more like N of 2 UW Biostat grads, because Jason was woven in there. We'll let him know that.
Okay.
Please join us upstairs to celebrate Norm Breslow's distinguished career and Kung-Yee's presence. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Another photo with
Yeah, we got
The award.
yeah. No worries, happy to do it. That's great. It's really good. Good, thank you. It's sweet that, thank you. It's really sweet that I got to know Jason because, you know, he's such a great kid, you know. Lucky to have you. Yeah, thanks.
I want you to be in the big freedom and daylight here. Stand over there.
Come on, like an on brand if we do this. Are you standing this like, you have a beautiful purple background, right? Purple and. I'm sorry, I'm taking a picture. I'm gonna wreck it for you, but we'll have her take a picture of just you.
Oh, it's called Rattle. And which, like, there's been all this, like.
Let me get just coming.